One of the areas of silver and gold buying that I have never been a fan of is the ability for just normal people to fall down a rabbit hole, whether that's through social media or the physical buying and, quite frankly, addiction that can come from just getting this wonderful silver and gold stuff in your hands can be very dangerous. So I want to do a little bit of an open, frank, honest discussion today about the dangers of silver and gold social media and buying this stuff in bulk. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a warm welcome to you all joining me for another Precious Metal Ramble. Now today I want to talk about something that's not really often talked about in the world of stacking silver and gold, and that is that it can be quite addictive. It can lead you down rabbit holes with this stuff, not just the actual physical purchase of it. I know that when I got my first pieces of gold and silver, it was incredibly exhilarating and something that I knew I wanted more of. But also the rabbit hole that one can fall down on social media through YouTube, Reddit, wherever the forum might be, you could find yourself coming unstuck if you fall down that rabbit hole, over leverage yourself perhaps, or put yourself in a position where it's not necessarily as good and as easy to get out as you got in. And it can sometimes feel that, certainly from my perspective as an observer outside looking in. I have certainly been on the other end of it as well, with looking at some of the purchases that I've made in the past, thinking, why on earth did I buy that? It was very much following crowds, following hype, or even following influencers here on YouTube that really I didn't need to do or didn't really want to do. And when I look back on it now, hindsight being a wonderful thing, you just look and you think, really, did I actually do that? And the answer is yes. So I want to talk about all of that today. Now, I do want to point out that I am not a financial advisor, and it's very, very important to me that you guys understand that. So a lot of what I'm saying will be apt for a lot of people, but it might not be for you, and that's absolutely fine. And what I have always said and always tried to advocate here on the channel is that everybody needs to make up their own minds for their own situations, their own financial situations, what's right for them in terms of money and finances and commitments. So please bear that in mind. And that's kind of the central message to sort of flow from all of what I'm saying here today. So please do bear that in mind. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments as we go throughout this video. Now, I want to talk about the addictive nature of both social media and the physical gold and silver that we have. It really can be quite strong, and I can speak from experience. I mean, this was way back before I even got started making Paul Silver or videos here on YouTube. We actually bought our first bits of bullion grade silver about 6 months to a year before I started making any videos, and the first batch I got was about 25 ounces worth of silver, and I knew as soon as I got them, we got 25 different themed coins, kookaburras, all of that, the Britannias, and we got them, we unboxed them, we were absolutely like, wow, look at that, feel the weight of it, it's incredible. And we knew straight, well, I say we, I mean I was very much more the advocate for this than Mrs. Backyard Bullion was, but we collectively agreed that it would be okay to get a little bit more over time. So we did, and so on and so on. And then I fell down the rabbit hole of watching videos on YouTube. So after purchasing the first bunch of silver coins, I started looking out and researching what other things to buy, what other things were good, stumbling across loads of different content creators on YouTube and finding all of the different coin review channels and pieces of poured silver. That's how I got even into poured silver in the first place. And it really was kind of like a rabbit hole. I do remember for a good couple of weeks just doing nothing but watching YouTube videos talking about the incredibleness of silver. At the time, gold wasn't even on the horizon. We hadn't even thought about that. And you hear all of these wonderful videos about the super potential for silver to go parabolic, and how back in the day, back in 2015, even then there were lots of people saying that the imminent collapse of the dollar is coming, and it's important to have as much gold and silver as possible. Or to be honest, because you fell down a specific rabbit hole, and the way YouTube works, you sort of watch one video, it gets recommended that you watch another. They were all about silver. So we got a lot of silver, and that's brilliant for us. It was fine. We at least, like, I knew in the back of my mind that this was money that was allocated for a long-term savings. We were using that cash from long-term savings to fuel another type of long-term savings. So it was basically diversification of that savings. So that was fine. But at the time, I had no clue really about how I might sell a lot of the stuff in the future, because ultimately I went into it as an investment. I went in thinking, well, I'll track the spot price. We bought at this, and I think I've done a good deal. I bought from Europe and I've bought at this price over spot price, avoiding the VAT. So it's like, we just have to wait for spot to increase by 20%, and then we're at least even, and then we can work out, and all of this. And of course, I never really got round to selling a lot of that. I think I've still got probably most of those original ounces. Some of them might have been popped in the melting furnace because they were milky coins, or I got them out to do some filming on them before I really realised what I should do and should not do with coins, and handled them and so on. So, it is interesting that happened, I think, for me. And now, of course, that kind of rabbit hole, that addiction's a strong word, but ultimately, I have, I think a fairly addictive personality, in the sense that when I like something, when I do something, I really do go full hog for it. I don't just sit back. I very much am the person that will, see something through to the end. If it's just a prime example, just from everyday life. We lost the TV remote last night. Absolute disaster. I mean, properly lost. Can't find it anywhere. We took the entire sitting room apart, sofa apart, everything, could not find it anywhere. Must have been absent-mindedly just chucked out or something by one of us. We have no clue, but it's gone. But I was obsessed by it. I could not stop looking for it all night, and eventually we've just resigned ourselves to buy a new one. But it's simple things like that a lot of people don't necessarily observe within themselves, that they can fall down these rabbit holes very quickly. And social media plays a huge part in that. And that's the second part of this video that I want to talk about. So the physical side of things is great, and holding this stuff, it's mesmerizing, it's incredible. And getting your first piece of silver, whether it's a small piece or a big piece, can be incredible. And getting a piece of gold is even more incredible. I remember the first gold coin I bought, it was a gold sovereign. It was incredible. I loved it, and I was hooked immediately. But a lot of the problems I can see that people get stuck into, in fact more so I think even than this physical purchasing addiction, is from social media. Social media is a wonderful and terrible thing at the same time. Of course, I kind of have to be biased, because running a social media profile like this account here on YouTube, it's part of my livelihood, part of my living. So I have to embrace it to a certain degree, but I do think that there comes a responsibility with any social media profile that you have that is influential. And whether I like or hate that word influencer, there are a lot of people out there who are influencers, whether they know it or not. And that can have a really profound and strong effect on a lot of people out there in this world. And I think even more so when we see hard times coming out from things like the pandemic and financial fallouts from that, people losing jobs, people struggling to make ends meet. You can very easily fall down these rabbit holes of social media. And as I said, from my experiences back in 2015, just simply watching a few videos about silver, YouTube starts recommending more and more and more. And it still happens now today. Of course, it's what YouTube does best. But it can be super dangerous. It can be really dangerous, because you not only fall down this rabbit hole of potentially committing lots and lots of cash to something that you may think is a great idea at the start, at the outset, but you haven't necessarily thought through the entire process. You also maybe get stuck down the opinions of areas which are not necessarily very true, or have limited potential to be true. One of the prime examples from the silver and gold world is the silver squeeze movement. I do not think that is something that is genuinely real. It is a marketing gimmick, and I think the people who have initiated this silver squeeze movement have cashed in on it, and they've, there's to a certain degree, there's an element of it that could happen, but really it's not something that is likely to ever have any long-term effect. So the end game, the end goal of really collapsing the COMEX and making silver go to $1,000 an ounce is never going to happen. But the people who have instigated those movements and everything have now created a brand. They've created a movement that they're cashing in on with affiliate bonus codes and paid interviews and paid advertising. It's what it's all about. It's all about money. It's all about advertising at the end of the day. And of course, that is the nature of the world, and that's part of why these rabbit holes are so important for a lot of these kind of social media platforms, because they do keep bringing people back, and especially within the world of gold and silver buying and the kind of people that look to buy gold and silver. You just look at the average profile of somebody who can afford to go out and buy some gold and silver, and it's going to be higher up than the general average of population. So they are valuable advertising targets, if that makes sense. So, it is important, I think, to try and recognize and stay safe when you're looking to get into this stuff, or even if you're a seasoned stacker that's in here. One of the things that I have always done is, certainly now in the last few years anyways, I've always taken a step back from something that I've looked at and seen and said, right, two things. First of all, does this meet my expectations of what I want to achieve with my cash? Is it something that I know about, and can I get something out of it at the other end? And if I think that there's a better than average chance of something like that actually working for me, then I will be inclined to look at it further. The next part is I always look about the ability for me to look to sell it down the line. Now, I am very fortunate, and this is something that you don't often really, a lot of people just take for granted. They think, oh, okay, I've got a big gold bar, I've got a good big silver bar, I'll easily sell that and it'd be fine. I get like over spot price for it, job done, fantastic. Unfortunately, that doesn't work for a lot of people as easily as they might think. Seller profiles are a big thing. I've done videos on seller profiles a lot before in the past, talking about how it is important to make sure that you, when you come to sell, have the reputation established such that you can sell. Because a lot of people will be very wary of brand new sellers on any platform or forum, and being scammed and spammed. And of course, the sad thing is as well that in this post-COVID world and landscape, there are countless other scammers and brand new bullion dealers that come up online that just basically will be out there to scam people. So, there are a lot of different factors at play, but I will always think about how I'm going to get the cash out of this at the other end. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people just rush into certain purchases, and hindsight being a wonderful thing, a lot of people sometimes will end up regretting a lot of what they've done. So really is quite an interesting, I think, an important topic as well for a lot of people. It is the responsibility of the creator, of the influencer. I really do hate that word, influencer, but unfortunately it is something that we have to live with in this modern world. But it is, I think, important for the influencers to be open, be honest about the biases that they have. I think a lot of people will understand that advertising is needed, and advertising helps creators continue to do what they do and what they love to do. But at the end of the day, I think it is important that people be open and honest and share, I think, experiences about their own situations. So I hope to some degree my own experiences have helped you guys here today to inform your own thinking about where things can lead. And if you are down that rabbit hole, if you have fallen down that rabbit hole of silver and gold buying, I think it is important to take a step back. It's not the end of the world if you have. I've always said this. If you've got gold and silver, at least, if you're going out there and you're blowing all your money on useless things that are never going to be of any value again in the future, then that's worse. But if you're at least going and buying all this gold and silver and this wonderful things, then you are to some degree not going to lose everything. But certainly going out and buying a load of proof coins because certain influencers think it's going to be a great thing for the future, or it's going to make you super rich, or going and buying 1,000-ounce silver bars because anytime tomorrow the silver price is going to go to $1,000 an ounce is, I think just a little bit of a recipe for disaster. So anyway, that is my thoughts on the subject. I do think it's a really important one and an interesting one that you don't hear a great deal talked about on the world of silver tubing and YouTubing. So please let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments section below. If you've been affected by any of what I've been saying today and you recognize perhaps that you're in that kind of situation, then don't worry too much about it. Just try and talk to yourself about it, talk to a loved one, get support, get help, basically, is what I'm saying. And feel free to get in touch with myself if there's anything that we can look to help you with, then that is, of course, really important. So if you've enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button, share this around through your own social media. That would be very helpful for everything we do on the channel. Otherwise, if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button because it does help, of course, find our videos in the future. Otherwise, that's it from me. A big thank you to you all for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.